Microsoft and Nintendo break bread on Call of Duty. Atomic Heart breaks even on reviews, and we got all the games that are coming to Game Pass. Welcome to your SPARCPass news update for the week of February 21st, 2023. My name is Mark, and I am joined, as always, by Spencer. Spencer, how are you, bud?
I am good. I am old now, and
Yeah.
I've created more work for myself this morning with this bit. But you know what? Here we are.
Congrats on existing, buddy. I appreciate you. If you notice, we haven't been on our weekend streams for the past couple of weeks. That's because we have 84 birthdays in February, including my boys over here. My man's just turned 30, and we celebrated my man's life this weekend. It was good stuff. It's a good time.
Yeah, it was fun stuff.
Yeah.
Played arcade games, ate cookies, played board games.
Hell yeah.
Sick.
Everything we did was tight. But we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about Xbox Game Pass, Spencer.
We are. And we have a lot of stuff, actually, to talk about.
We actually, as you heard at the beginning, we kind of got a full docket here. So you know what? Let's get right into it, because we put out our episode 2 weeks ago talking about all the news on Xbox Game Pass, all the games that are coming. And then, what the fuck wouldn't you know, Megan Spur put out an article the next day. So we've got some games to catch up on to talk about, and we got a new drop this morning. So we've got the double dose of stuff that's coming to Game Pass. This will cover the entirety of February. So let's really quickly go over what's out now. So this is the stuff that we missed from last week. Here we go! It's Madden.
Neat.
Madden comes out every year. Tide rolls in, Tide rolls out. You get Madden on Game Pass every year. Madden 23, it's on Game Pass because the NFL season's over. Game Pass, Madden. Play Madden if you want. If you don't, you all right.
Yeah, I got no interest in Madden anymore.
That's, you know what, I
love
respect
football. I just have no interest in playing Madden.
Yeah, I completely understand. Madden has been on a downhill slope for quite some time.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Like, there were just some changes that I didn't really enjoy with, like, the create a character stuff. And then now, like, I'm just reading, like, EA Play and Ultimate members score a supercharge pack. And I'm like, I fucking hate games as a service in this format. I don't want these packs. I don't want shit. I just want throw a Hail Mary every 4 downs. Pick a random defense that I don't understand and hit man with football. Like, that's the Madden experience, and I refuse to believe anything else.
That's fair. I respect it. I absolutely... Yep. I completely understand. I have not wanted to play Madden in many years, and it being on Game Pass is cool. Don't get me wrong. Doesn't change my opinion on that.
This is a game that I like being on Game Pass a lot, though, because, like you said, it comes out every year. And I'm sorry, Madden fans, this game has not been worth a $60 upgrade every year at any
Spencer,
point in time.
I have great news for you. It's not a $60 upgrade now. It's a $70 upgrade, baby.
Oh, cool. You made it worse.
Yeah.
Stop paying $70 a year for this game, dude. Like, it's the same game. It's the same game.
It's the same game.
They could just patch the roster every generation, put out one Madden, and then just patch the roster every season, and it would be the same experience. You just aren't out $70.
Yeah, they could do that, and yet they choose not to because it makes money hand over fucking fist.
But you keep buying it. That's why we have 85 versions of Skyrim.
Yeah, it's true. All right, so Madden's on Game Pass. If you haven't already played this year's Madden, go. Next game on the list, out now. Cloud, console, and PC. I actually have a little bit to talk about on this one. SD Gundam Battle Alliance. So this is a third-person action grind loot fest game that uses the little SD Gundams, the little super deformed Gundams, the little guys. You know, not the big. You can maybe see. You can't see them in my background because they're too high up. It's not the big guys. It's not the big fellas. They make cute little guy versions.
What did you say SD stands for?
Super deformed.
Jesus, that sounds morbid.
It really does. It sounds awful.
I never knew what it stood for. I didn't. I didn't think it was that, but I didn't know what it was either. You know,
it's just cute little guy Gundams. They're just little guys. They're no bigger than that.
Been like standard definition.
And then the big ones are high definition.
Yeah,
exactly.
And then the really big ones are 4K or HDR.
Exactly. Yeah. So here's the good news. The game is cool. I bought this game on launch and played it for a little bit. So I'm a little bit salty that it's on Game Pass now. Was it worth the $60 day one price? Nah, not really. But I think as a Game Pass game, this game is definitely worth checking out. It is 100% just turn your brain off and smash the buttons kind of game, and that's fun. The issue I thought was it's a little grindy, a little repetitive, and the story is absolute butt fucking nonsense. The story is nothing. Do not pay attention to the story. Basically, long story short, it's like you're working for this organization that has to keep the Gundam timeline intact by revisiting remixed versions of old Gundam events. It's fucking nonsense. The story's dumb. Don't look at the story. The gameplay is fun. So I'm glad this one's on Game Pass because I don't think this is a game you should pay full price for, but I do think it's one worth checking out if you like action games. So worth a look, I think.
Yeah, and I feel like that's one of those things of like, I'm so mad that I bought this and now it's on Game Pass, but also like I'm really glad it's on Game Pass so other people don't have to buy it.
Exactly. Yeah. Like I want other people to play this game, but I don't think it was worth the full $60 price tag.
Yeah.
In fact, like I look at this game and I go, Spencer, this is perfect for one of our weekend streams.
Right. Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. Like this is one of those Game Pass games that's like, all right, this looks like it would be fun to try out with a friend for a weekend or just like one evening when neither of us have anything to do. And it's like, I want to play video games, but I don't want to play any of the 5,000 games that I already have. Hey, what if we played SD Gundam, that thing that just came to Game Pass?
Exactly. 100%. And there will probably come a weekend where I talk you into playing SD Gundam because it's a fun game.
I mean, it doesn't look bad. Like, I'm just looking at it real quick here. It doesn't look awful.
Yeah. It's a decent little action game.
Yeah. It doesn't look like it's going to change the world or anything, but it looks fun.
It will not. It is 7 out of 10, and it is totally fine.
Yeah.
It is like probably the best comparison. It's not quite the same, but it kind of scratches the same lobe of your brain that Dynasty Warriors does.
Okay.
Where it's just like blast a bunch of mook enemies away and just beat up a bunch of shit, Like it scratches that same kind of itch for me. I like Dynasty Warriors, so like, that's not an insult where I come from. That's complimentary, damn it.
Yeah.
Definitely one worth checking out. Next up on the list, Mount and Blade 2 Bannerlord came out on February 14th. I don't know shit about this game. That is a man on a horse. In the logo.
I thought Mount and Blade was just a mobile game. Apparently not. Maybe that's a different game that I'm thinking of. But yeah, I don't know anything about this game at all.
Cool. Moving on. City Skylines Remastered came to Cloud and Xbox Series X and S on February 15th. City Skylines was already on Game Pass, but they put out the remastered version. This is one of those that's like not my thing, but it's cool that it's here. City Skylines is like one of the best, like it's sort of like it picked up the mantle that SimCity dropped, and to have a remaster of it with some prettied up graphics is cool.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same way. Like this is definitely not my jam by any means. But I know a lot of people that love these kind of games, so I'm glad that it's continuing on Game Pass. And this is another kind of game that I love being on Game Pass because it ends up having 9 million things added to it.
Yes.
So it's like, if I don't have to get the base game, maybe like some of the DLC I can catch on sale and it's not as bad. Yeah.
Right. Yeah,
I think it's a good get, for sure.
Yeah, I think this is a good one to have on Game Pass. You know a game that I feel like might be a bit more up your alley though, Spence? Shadow Warrior 3 Definitive Edition. I'm frankly kind of surprised you haven't played these games. I don't think you have. I never remember hearing you talk about them.
have like heard much about these games at all.
So Shadow Warrior is this first-person action shooter that's sort of like this comedic take on samurai with guns.
Okay.
And yeah, and it's got this like great free roaming movement system. It's a good game. They're good games. They try to be funny, and sometimes they don't always stick the landing on being funny.
Yeah, tries a little too hard kind of thing.
Yeah. I think that's probably the best way you could phrase it. Is that sometimes they try a little too hard. But gameplay wise, I feel like they're like right up your alley. You love, arena shooters, and this is definitely just like a walk into an arena. Here's a bunch of men. You've got cool movement options and cool melee options and guns.
Yeah.
Figure it out.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now, and it looks like Doom if Doom was more samurai-esque and not as red.
Yeah.
There are colors other than red in this one.
Yeah, that's a pretty fair shout. I think this is a game you would dig. So I'm glad it's here, honestly. Like, it's probably one for folks to check out.
Yeah, this game looks pretty cool. And the enemies are fucking wild, dude.
Yeah, the design of the stuff is pretty nuts. Yeah, so... And I don't think the story really matters, so you can probably just jump straight into the third one and it won't make a damn difference.
Yeah. It looks like one that... The story is... There's probably some overarching like lore and stuff that would be cool to know, but overall it'll be pretty self-contained per game.
Right, yeah, that's kind of what it seemed like to me anyway.
Yeah.
So that's all the stuff we missed. That's a decent little... I mean, Madden every year is important. It's not good, but it's important. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's important for it to be here. And I think SD Gundam, City Skylines, and Shadow Warrior are all good games. So,
Yeah.
3 out of 4 ain't bad, right? We take those. Out today was an additional Megan Spur article. Wave 3 of February 2023. This is all the rest of the stuff for the rest of the month. We don't have a whole lot new. First of all, we'll talk about it a little bit more later, but Atomic Heart came out today. That's the game that we're playing for the show for next month. That's on Cloud Console and PC. That came out today. I think it actually technically came out yesterday on Steam. It's out today on everywhere else.
Yeah. I think I got a notification last night or saw it like on Twitter or something at like 10 p.m. my time that it was like available everywhere.
Right. Yeah. So that came out today. We'll talk about reviews and stuff on that here in a minute. That's one of our topics for today. But obviously excited to play this. We're playing it for the show. So I'm pumped to at least give it a go.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we've been excited about this one for a while. Like, this isn't a surprise drop on Game Pass by any means.
Right, yeah.
And it's one that people have been interested in and going, what the hell is this game, since it was announced. Right. And I'm excited to finally find out what the hell this game really is.
Completely agree. We'll get into the reviews a little bit more here later in the show. So far, things have sounded like they're decent, but not great. We'll find out. Mm-hmm. And we'll let you know on our show in a couple of weeks. But that's not the only thing that's coming to Game Pass. Console, Cloud, and PC, February 28th. We got Merge and Blade. Is auto battler puzzle game. It's got some pixel art. Looks all right. It's not great.
Yeah, no thanks.
It's an auto battler in a puzzle game. Those are two sentences you say to me, and my brain starts to just like turn into fuzz.
Yeah, immediately I was like, no, thank you.
Yeah. I want to play the video game that I'm playing.
Right, exactly.
I don't want to watch it played for me. Like, I suppose that's cool. Auto battlers really became a trend, like, it was like half a decade ago. And that's one gaming trend I never understood. I understood BRs. I understand games as a service. I understand why a lot of that kind of, like the loot grind stuff, I understand why that's appealing.
Mm-hmm.
Auto battlers are just beyond me. I don't understand why you want to play a ding-dang video game where you don't actually play a ding-dang video game. I don't get it.
I don't know. I could maybe see this being like more fun as a mobile concept. Like, you're on the bus to go into work, or you're, on the train going to work, whatever, and you're like, I kind of want to do something that isn't just like look at social media, but I'm also not like trying to get heavily invested in a game that I'm like moving my hands and playing, and it's obvious I'm playing a video game, where this is just
Right.
kind of like, I don't know, sometimes you might have to like drop something on the screen or like start something, but it
Yeah.
mostly just does the work for you and you just kind of chill.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And I feel like, this game is on cloud, so it's maybe potentially conducive to that.
Yeah, or like sitting on the couch and you're like, I'm just
Yeah.
watching TV in the background and I'm just kind of like mindlessly playing my little game here a little bit, but it does most of the work for me. Yeah. But like but in general, like if I'm sitting down and like I want to play a video game on my Xbox or on my computer, I agree with you. Like I want to play the game, not watch the game, because at that point
Yeah.
I could just watch TV.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And granted, there are some games that I enjoy watching more than playing, but I don't know. I think it's one of those that's like, I think it's cool that it's here. I don't want it.
Yeah.
And along those same lines, February 28th, same day, cloud console and PC, Soul Hackers 2. If you're unfamiliar with this franchise, this is a JRPG made by Atlas, the fine folks that brought you Persona and Shin Megami Tensei. In fact, this is a continuation of one of the Shin Megami Tensei sort of side series. I think it's like a direct sequel to Devil Summoner or some shit. SMT is beyond me. My brain doesn't fully comprehend everything. But this is a high quality developer, a high quality JRPG. During, Microsoft likes to promote February as anime month, and they really haven't, like, aside from SD Gundam, really haven't delivered a ton of games on that front this month. This has got an anime ass aesthetic. It's a
Yeah, it
big,
does.
long JRPG. This is exactly the kind of stuff that Microsoft has been targeting for the last several months, of wanting to appeal more to the Japanese audience and appeal more to the American audience that likes Japanese-made games.
Yeah.
So I feel like this is a game that's like more important than one that I'm excited about. I don't want to play it, but it looks cool, and I'm glad that it's here.
Yeah, I feel like I'm along very similar lines with you there. Like, I think this is a good game to have on Game Pass because one, it's another one of those things of this would be an opportunity for somebody to try this game who is not prepared to drop $60 on a game and go, oh, I don't like this. I don't like this
Yeah.
at all.
Right.
And it's just expanding the overall JRPG library for Xbox and for the game and for Game Pass, right? Like,
Yeah.
that's something people always say when it comes to Xbox. Like, well, there's no JRPGs on Xbox at all. And it's like, we've been proving you wrong, my friend.
Yeah.
We've got more and more coming, and we're putting them on our service. That's how much we believe in this stuff. So I like it. I think that's good. I think this looks like a really cool game that I'm not going to play, to be honest with you. Like,
Yeah. Yep.
it's one of those, like, the art is really cool. The overall style is really cool. The general idea around it seems pretty cool. But I don't want to play a 700-hour video game. I'm sorry. I don't have time for that. Like, if this game was like, yeah, you could beat it in like a week, bro, I'm sold. It's the same thing with like Persona. I love the idea of Persona, but I just don't want to play as a game that is so long.
Yeah. I think that's totally fair. The other thing I wanted to point out with this is like, man, if you are a fan of RPGs, Jesus Christ, does Game Pass's value just keep going up and up?
Yeah.
Because here we are 2 months into 2023, and we just added Persona 3, 4, 5, and Soul Hackers 2. And that's on top of all the Bethesda stuff. So the Elder Scrolls, Fallout. We've got fucking what's the name of the one with the thing with the bibbity bop and the drizzity drop that's supposed to come out relatively soon?
That was so descriptive.
Avowed. And all the games that developer has made, like, there's so damn many RPGs and now JRPGs on Game Pass. It is absurd.
It
like
is.
if you are an RPG fan, it doesn't make any damn sense for you to not have Game Pass to have access to all these damn games.
Yeah.
Because it's an incredible value for money. Just in terms of, think about how much time you can spend playing one of these RPG games. Hundreds of hours. Some people spend thousands of hours. Like, and that's just for one. And then there's 15 more. Like, it's such an absurd value for money.
It is. And you know what, Mark? I have an update for you.
Okay.
On Soul Hackers 2. I looked up how long it is to beat this game.
Okay.
We were wrong. The main story says it's only like 32 hours.
That's not bad.
That's not terrible. This feels like a good introduction to these kind of games.
Yeah. Spencer, go play it. I got too many other games.
All right, I didn't commit to that. Like, oh, dang, dude. I just said it might be a little bit more approachable. Like, ooh, boy.
It's more approachable.
Yeah.
It's
and
not
like
not 100 hours. Yeah.
Exactly. And that feels like this just feels like the perfect storm for Game Pass on this game, right? Like, I don't have to pay for it to find out I don't like it. It's only at like 30 some odd hours, which isn't no time at all, but like, you know, we're not looking at a 300-hour video game anymore like I thought.
Right.
So if you get into it and you dig it, great, you didn't have to pay for it, and now you kind of can ease your way into those other games that are that long and are also on the service.
Right.
Makes sense.
Exactly. Yeah, I think it's a game that makes total sense for Game Pass, and I'm glad that it's here.
Yeah.
Speaking of games that make sense for Game Pass, again, we talked about Madden earlier. Sports games, I think, make a ton of sense for Game Pass. Formula 1 2022 coming to EA Play March 2nd, console and PC. The Formula 1 games are really good. I've played a couple of them. I don't really feel like I have more to say other than it's the new one. So go check that out if you're into Formula 1, like my brother and all his friends are. Yeah, it's a good game. Codemasters makes good racing games. Go get it. I don't know.
Yeah, I got nothing on that one.
Sick. Wolong Fallen Dynasty is the big game for March, and we do get a little bit of a plug for it here at the end of the old Megan Spur article. This is one that we've decided Spencer's not into Soul likes. I'm kind of ho-hum on them to begin with. We're not playing this one for the show.
No.
But this is the big game for March, IMO. Or at least the big game for March that we know of.
True.
So, you know, we'll see as the rest of the month pans out. We'll see what we get. But obviously, Souls games are huge. This is looking pretty Soulsy. This is made by the same developers of Nioh. So, those games are very good, and I'm sure this game will be along the same lines.
Yeah. I'm sure if this is your kind of game, you are set for March. You're not playing anything else.
Yeah.
If it is not your kind of game, maybe that's the good month to check out Soul Hackers 2.
You got a little extra time? Check out some Soul Hackers 2.
Nothing else came out. Check it out. Might as well.
Yeah. Do what you want. Yeah. So I played the demo of this because I'm not like wholly opposed to Soulsy action games. Like, I like a hard action game, right? So I checked out the demo. I didn't fall in love. It's not bad, but I didn't fall in love. This feels like to me one of those games that's like, all right, cool, chuck it on the pile, but maybe I'll get to it eventually, but I'm not rushing to play this one.
Yeah. This is definitely a game that I'm never going to install.
Fair. I respect it. Listen,
I have tried enough,
like what you like.
And I have accepted that those are not a game for me.
And that's fair. I respect it. Like, I totally respect that. So, that's the Game Pass drops for the rest of February into the beginning of March. Certainly not like the most crackerjack stacked list we've ever had, but like it's not bad.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like it's at some of those times of it's a little light on some stuff, but we have some big games mixed in, right?
Yeah.
So, I don't think any of these are bad. A lot of these are already out by the time we've made this show, obviously. So, it almost feels like we're a little bit lighter just because this stuff's already out, if that makes sense.
That's true.
Like, in our world of making the show. But, like, overall, it's I don't think February was a bad month.
No, I think I think it was a solid month for Game Pass. It certainly wasn't like, the craziest month of Game Pass we've ever seen. Like, I think January was a hell of a lot better, to be completely honest. I mean, it's hard to beat 3 Persona games in Monster Hunter, right? Like,
yeah,
that's
big.
hard. Those are big games. That's hard to beat. But honestly, like, yeah, it's not the greatest month in the history of Game Pass, but it's solid. And that's the thing, is like, I feel like you don't need so much like every month has to be gangbusters. It feels like every month has to be solid. And this month feels solid. There's a big game that's captured a lot of attention, and there's some cool smaller stuff mixed in.
Yep.
Perfect. Cool. That's all Game Pass really needs to do to be worthwhile for your money, I think.
Yeah, I feel like that's exactly what we can ask for and what we should expect out of this, right? Like, not every single game is going to be giant AAA banger game. Like,
right.
That doesn't even make sense. So, I think this is like exactly what most people should expect most months from Game Pass is, here's a couple real big ones, here's a few small ones mixed in there that are still good and you should try out. And then obviously there'll be some months that are huge with nothing but big games, and then some months that are just, here's a few indies. I hope you like them.
Right. Exactly. Or here's some like AAA games from like half a year ago.
Yeah.
That, like, you've maybe already played, but if you hadn't, if you waited, cool, here you go.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. That's the kind of stuff I expect out of Game Pass, and I think, big smashing success, big old thumbs up.
Yeah.
All right, buddy. Let's talk about the big news of the day. I kind of want to talk about Atomic Heart first. Let's talk about Atomic Heart reviews first, because I feel like I have less to say about the other thing.
Okay.
Let's start with Atomic Heart. So Atomic Heart came out today. Reviews are out. And I think it is safe to say the sort of overall consensus that I have seen pretty much has been this is a game with a ton of promise. This is a game that was maybe a little overly ambitious for what it was going for, but overall seems to be that most reviewers are saying it hits more than it misses.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm seeing. Like, there's been some reviews I've seen that are just dogpiling on the game. But most of them are like, it's pretty fine. There's a few things that it's not great at, but, it's still good.
Yeah. Just to give you a sort of vague idea, over here on Metacritic, which Metacritic is not the end-all be-all, but it's a good, like, compilation of, like, about what the vibe on the game is, right?
Yeah.
I don't use Metacritic as, like, a benchmark of, like, I won't play anything that's below an 80 on Metacritic or whatever. That's dumb. But I think it's a good benchmark of, like, around about what is the vibe. Right now, the PC version's got a Metascore of 77, and the Xbox version has got a Metascore of 72.
Okay.
So, like, solid. 7 out of 10. 7, 8 out of 10. Right? Which, not bad. We take that.
Yeah, that's a pretty solid review, really.
Yeah,
if you just go based off scores.
Right, yeah. Which, like, you shouldn't, but, just throwing that out there. Especially considering Mundfish is a first-time developer.
Mm-hmm.
And this is an ambitious game. Like, they're trying to do fucking BioShock in Soviet Russia. Like, this is an ambitious game, right?
Right.
And it's published by Focus Entertainment, which, like, to me is, like, the clearinghouse of 7 out of 10 video games.
Dude, it really is. Like,
it really is. Like, everything Focus publishes is like, yeah, it's all right. It's a bit janky, but it's all right.
Fine.
It's fine. It's good. It's like, it's fun, like.
Yeah, I'll play it.
Yeah, so with that in mind, obviously last month we had the, like, Hi-Fi Rush was like a mega hit, right? Did really well, reviewed really well. Obviously everybody in Xbox land really happy about it. For this being the big game for Game Pass for March, or for February, I should say, it being like, yeah, all right, but not like, oh, hell yeah, dog. Do you see that as, like, a failure for the big game of the month for Game Pass? Do you see that as, like, acceptable? I think the reason I wanted to ask that is because I think we have this sort of like we've had Game Pass for a few years now, and we want to build in like what is the expectation? What should we expect out of every month? And I think we've said consistently over several months, like we expect one big game and then some small stuff.
Yeah.
Right? That's mostly what we expect. So for Atomic Heart to be the one big game and for it to be not like spectacular, but certainly not bad.
Yeah.
Is that a failure for Game Pass for this month?
I don't really feel like it necessarily is.
Okay.
So here's my kind of thinking about that is Game Pass and Microsoft can't sign a game and then say it will be good.
Right.
Like, you can't force something to be good. If it's not good, it's not good, right?
Yeah.
Like, if there's technical glitches, those exist. Like, if there's technical problems, there are technical problems. What's Microsoft supposed to do about that, right? Like, and unless it's a first-party studio, then they can be like, hey, this is on us. But this isn't published, developed, or owned by Microsoft.
Right.
This is just a contract they signed.
Right, exactly, yeah.
I can see where it's disappointing and being like, oh man, the only big game this month kind of is not super great. It's kind of a bummer, you know? But I don't know that would be that different of just like, hey, the only big game that came out this month in video games at all was kind of a bummer and I bought it. Like,
yeah. And I mean,
if anything, this feels like a plus to have it as a Game Pass game of going, man, that one didn't really hit the mark for me. Oh, well, I'm not out anything but a little bit of my time. I already paid my subscription. I was going to pay it anyway.
Right. That's true.
If I play a game on Game Pass and I'm like, man, that wasn't super great. I'm like, well, that kind of sucks. I was looking forward to that. But if I go pay $60, $70 for a brand new game and I go, this game sucks, I'm like, well, this is some bullshit. And now I'm mad.
Yeah. It definitely 100% feels super bad whenever, there's a big game and you're excited about it, you pay $60 for it, and it's just kind of
Yeah, especially because, like, there's not much you can do with it at that point, right? Like, especially if you buy it digitally, it's just like, great, now I'm stuck with this pile of garbage. Thanks for nothing.
Yeah, and it sort of seems like where we're at with Atomic Heart, based on the reviews that I've read, and I've read a couple of reviews. I read IGN's, I read GameSpot's, I read True Achievements and Pure Xbox. Those are the 4 that I've read, right? It seems to me that the thing with this game is, like, it is ambitious. It's got a lot of cool ideas, but it doesn't come together as a cohesive whole. So, like, there's some stuff that feels, like, really haphazard. There's some stuff that's, like, it's not consistent. It's not a consistently good experience. There's ups and downs, right?
Right.
That seems to be the sort of general vibe that I've gotten off of the reviews of this game.
Mm-hmm.
But for someone like me who, like, I'm mostly interested in this game for the world and the world building. If the world building is good, I'll probably be all right. I'm curious to see how different we come off from the, like, quote unquote professional reviewers, versus, like how we feel about it. I'm really curious to see where we end up landing on that as we take on this game in a couple weeks.
Yeah, I will be too, because I only got through a couple of reviews this morning, and one of them was pretty good. They were, they covered pretty much all the basics. They were talking about combat, they were talking about the story, the dialogue, the world building, and everything. And the other one was a 8-minute video, and they spent 5 minutes of it complaining about the main character.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
I was like, I'm not really getting a vibe for what this game is. You're just complaining about the character. Like, I don't really care. And it was also like, they were like, I can't believe that any person could be this dense to always believe in something that they read on the internet. And I was like, have you looked at the internet, sir? What do you mean?
Yeah, like, that's definitely not the world we live in at all. Stares off blissfully into the middle distance.
Fuck?
What the fuck?
So,
I will say, I don't think, and I got this vibe off of, like, the gameplay trailers that they've shown too, that, like, the main character is a little bit, like, dude bro white man. Like he's just like he's a blank slate.
Yeah.
Like there's really not a whole lot going on there. Blank slate characters are not my favorite, but
I feel
to
like
spend
for
half of your review complaining about it,
yeah, like I feel like for a game like this, it's not that bad though, right? Like this isn't a game that I'm going into expecting an extremely deep, like thought-provoking story, right? I'm going in expecting I'm shooting some robots and like I'm following a story while I go through it, if that makes sense.
I don't know that I necessarily agree with that because when you sit and compare your game to BioShock for 3 years, like BioShock is mostly remembered for its story and its world building, right?
And I feel like that what they compared to what it's actually compared to is the combat and the general like world around it. If that makes like the world that you're in as opposed to what the actual story is going to come out to be. I don't know that. I haven't played the game. I could be wrong.
I mean, to me, when I think of BioShock, I think of this is a game that has something to say about the philosophy of objectivism and Ayn Rand. I don't think of
When I think of
you know,
BioShock, yes, but I think
yeah.
what more people are seeing is visually comparing it to BioShock. If that makes
Well,
sense.
and I think this game, just from the previews I've seen, I think this game, which is, and this is a controversial point, which is developed by people in Russia, has something to say about Russia. And I'm curious to see what that is. And I do think that story bit is important too.
I'll be
Right?
curious about that too. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just don't know if the main character matters as much as like the rest of the story.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
he could have been a
I
guy
think
that
that's
never
fair.
spoke at all, as long as the world around me is telling me the story.
Yeah, that's fair.
Is more what I'm meaning. Sorry, maybe I
Yeah.
misrepresented what I was trying
No,
to
no,
say.
no. I think that's totally fair. But you're fine with a blank slate character.
But I feel like in this situation, yeah, I'm cool with it. Like it's not an RPG where I'm like expecting this character to be like something that I've made and is gonna be a representation of what I'm expecting in the game, as opposed to as long as he's good at shooting guns and can get me from point A to point B where the story is really lying, that's fine.
Okay.
Especially because like a lot of the times it seems like he's talking to like the little glove that he has, and I'm like, I don't care about these little quips. Like whatever, dude, it's not that important. Like the glove tells you like we need to open this door, and he goes, thanks, that was super unhelpful. It's like you could have just been like, okay, and it would have been the exact same thing. Like I didn't need the extra bit there, if that makes sense.
Sure.
If it's there, it's fine, but if it's not, whatever. It's not the end all be all of this entire video game for me.
Yeah. No, that's super fair. So yeah, it seems like that's sort of been like the vibe on Atomic Heart so far is like it's decent, it's solid, it's not spectacular. There are some problems.
Yeah.
I'm still excited to play it. I'm still excited to lay hands on it. And I'm really curious to see, like, I have questions coming into the game now that I kind of want answered, right?
Yeah.
Like, what does this game have to say, right? Like, what is its story trying to tell us, right? Is it all spectacle, right? Because if it's all spectacle, that's one thing, right? But what does this game have to say about the conditions of, this sort of utopic version of 1950s Russia they're trying to present, right?
Yeah.
What does this game have to say? I think I'm really curious about now. And based on the reviews, it seems like, we'll see. And then the other thing based on the reviews is, all right, where's this game a clunky, junky? Where in this game does it become a focus home interactive game?
Yeah.
Like, that's really, like, those are the two things I'm curious about now coming in. Whereas before, it was more just, like, pure excitement of, like, oh, man, I don't really know what the fuck is going on with this. But it's weird, and Mick Gordon did the soundtrack, I'm in, right? Like, that was kind of where I was up until the last, like, week or so, right? And now that we're, like, approaching the release of the game, it's like, okay, well, now I have questions. Now I'm curious about where this game goes and some of the answers to those questions now, right? So I'm excited to see where we get on it here in a couple weeks.
Yeah, like, I'm still looking forward to the game. I think it looks cool. And if nothing else, from what I've seen and from what I can tell, most of the gunplay combat looks good. The powers that you get from the glove look good. Everyone has been saying that the soundtrack is good from Mick Gordon. I'm pretty happy if those three things at least hit. If I can at least have some fun with the game, that's a big part of playing the game, right? Obviously the story's important, but if the story's kind of generic or not perfect, okay, I'll live. I'll still enjoy it probably. The biggest places that I saw in the reviews that I looked at where people were having problems were more just like some technical hiccups of like frame drops in certain parts, you know, like shades and textures looking kind of weird if like a robot moved too far away, and I'm like, whatever. You know, it's probably not great that those are there, but it's 2023. I've come to expect that this is unfortunately what video games are now. And there'll probably be a patch here soon, and that'll take care of it. Yeah, and if that happens, I'm happy with it, you know. I'd rather it be good at the beginning, but those seemed kind of small in the grand scheme of the whole game, right? Mm-hmm. Like, it didn't seem like, from what the reviews I saw, that they were like, it is unplayable and a mess. It was, I got to a couple parts where I dropped some frames, and then it fixed itself, and I'm fine now.
Yeah, it seemed like the sort of overwhelming vibe I got was like, there's cool ideas here, but the game probably could have used some more polish.
Exactly.
Like, you know, this one, it probably could have stayed in the oven for a few more months, but it's an ambitious game, and it's sort of worth celebrating that ambitiousness.
Yeah, and I could see it being like, we can't keep putting this off.
Yeah.
Because it's been delayed a few times now. This isn't the first time it's been, you know, it could have been delayed longer. And I could see where a producing company is like, no, you have to put this damn game out, dude. It's been long enough.
Yep.
And we'll deal with it from there.
Right. Yeah, I think that's totally fair.
Yeah.
But yeah. So we'll see where it goes. I'm certainly excited to play it. I'm very stoked about the idea of jumping into this game here in about an hour. Like once we're done here, I'm gonna install it, and then I'll probably play it whenever I get home.
Yeah, I need to install it too.
Yeah. So, all right. Up to our last news story of the day. So, a month or so ago, I think a couple months ago, maybe, Microsoft and Nintendo sort of reached a handshake agreement on Call of Duty being on Nintendo platforms for the next 10 years. Mm-hmm. Well, they put that to writing today. Microsoft has a big meeting with European Union regulators today, and ahead of that meeting, they announced that they have officially signed, sealed, documentation on paper, a 10-year agreement with Nintendo to bring Call of Duty to its platforms, quote, the same day as Xbox with full feature and content parity, so they can experience Call of Duty just as Xbox and PlayStation gamers enjoy Call of Duty. We are committed to providing long-term equal access to Call of Duty to other gaming platforms, bringing more choice to more players and more competition into the gaming market. I want to talk about this from two angles. One, how the fuck are they going to do that on the Nintendo Switch?
Cloud.
So where my brain was going on that was that will be the case on Nintendo's next console, which I feel like we're probably still a couple years away from, but until then it will be cloud.
Yeah, I think it's going to have to be.
Yeah.
And you know, I guess we'll see what happens with the next console, cuz that's not coming out anytime soon. I agree with you. We're still a little bit away from that, but I feel like if it comes out and it's similar to the Switch now, where it's just fairly far behind the competitors in, you know, performance and graphical ways, they could easily just be like, look, dude, it was on cloud on the last one. We're just going to leave it on cloud.
Yeah.
We want you to have the best possible thing that you can, and this is the best way we can do it. Or it comes out, it's a sick console that can handle everything it needs to, and they just go, great, now you have it locally.
Yeah. I'm curious to see whether, because I think if you're delivering a cloud experience, I think it's a little disingenuous to say that they're experiencing the game just as Xbox and PlayStation gamers experience it. I think that's a little disingenuous, because the cloud experience is not the same as playing it natively on a hard drive on local hardware. It is not.
Yeah.
It is just not. Every single time I have played a game on cloud, I have gone, okay, cool, I'm doing this to try a game. I'm certainly not playing a whole game on cloud.
Yeah. Or like it's
absolutely not.
It's good enough, but it's definitely not the same. I agree with you, especially in a first-person shooter.
Yeah.
If we're playing Madden, whatever, that's close enough that I'm probably not going to waste my download time.
Even that, like anything that involves fast twitch movement, I do not want to play on cloud. Straight up. Like anything that involves, like I tried to play a fighting game on cloud once and wanted to tear my hair out.
No way.
Wanted to tear my hair out. Like anything that involves any kind of fast twitchy movement, I do not want to play that shit on cloud. So I'm curious to see what that promise entails as to whether it's going to be like, hey, you can play it through shit. Are they going to put Game Pass on Switch? Like that's been a dream for people for a long time. Like, hey, you can play Call of Duty through the cloud on your Switch. Or if it's going to be just like
but
a nerfed retail title. Like,
how different is that going to be than just putting it on Nintendo's cloud?
I mean, it will probably run off Microsoft servers either way. It probably would make a huge difference.
It would be essentially the same thing at that point. And there's absolutely 0% chance that the Switch could run these games.
No shot.
I mean, it could, but don't.
Like, yeah, you would have to significantly downgrade them.
You're just wasting your time at that point, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, it's not worth it to say, even if it's like, I only own a Switch, this is the only way that I can play the game. Fine, play a different game, because it's going to be a terrible experience for you.
Right.
It's not worth it. And there's just no way that they can do that. So unless they know something we don't know, and they're like, look, this Activision Blizzard deal and stuff is going to take a couple years to go through anyway. This 10-year deal is going to start when we own it, and the new Switch will be out by then. Maybe we can figure out how to get it local by then. I don't know. Because other than that, cloud's the only option. There's just no way else. There's no other way to do it on the Switch.
Right.
Don't get me wrong. Exactly. The Switch is cool. I like my Switch. I'm not saying it's a bad console. I'm saying that it's not powerful.
It is the market leader for a reason. It is a great machine.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, there is nothing wrong with the Switch as it is, but it is not a machine made for the modern AAA video game.
Yeah.
It's just not what it's made for. That's not what it's designed to do. Exactly. And Call of Duty is the definition of the modern AAA video game. Right?
Exactly.
So I'm curious as to how that's going to work, whether it will be a cloud implementation or if this is a, hey, Nintendo, we promise for your next console.
Yeah.
I'm curious as to whether it'll be one of those two things, because I think saying a cloud version is equal to Xbox and PlayStation is super disingenuous. The other part of this that I find curious, when Brad Smith, who is the vice chair and president of Microsoft, posted this statement right before they went into the room with the EU regulators, I assume, to do it as late as humanly possible. He said an interesting quote here. Quote, "We've now signed a binding 10-year contract to bring Xbox games to Nintendo's gamers. This is just part of our commitment to bring Xbox games and Activision titles like Call of Duty to more players on more platforms." That is where my brain starts to go, okay, now I'm interested.
Yeah.
Right? Because if this was just a Call of Duty thing to please the regulators, that's fine. Cool, whatever. Right? If I can play Game Pass shit on my Switch, fucking let's go. Right? That's super exciting.
Yeah.
And if that means they're committing more to Nintendo than just Call of Duty, that's a huge win. That's a gigantic win.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Like, that's how it reads to me, too, right? Like, there's going to be other Xbox games that we could play there. This isn't just Call of Duty. Because it even says not just Call of Duty, right? Like that might be, it might be different in the contract that they've written. I don't know.
We'll see.
But the way that I would read that, is we want to bring not just Call of Duty, but our other games to Switch as well.
It just continues to go with the ethos, man, of like, Microsoft doesn't care where you play their games.
They just want
as
you to
long as
play
you're
it.
playing them.
Yeah,
They just
exactly.
want you to, it goes with the ethos, and I love it. Like, and this would not be the first time Xbox and Nintendo have collaborated, right? Like, they worked together to put the Ori games on Switch.
Mm-hmm.
They worked together to put what's the old-timey cartoon game? Shit.
Cuphead,
yeah. They worked together to put Cuphead on Switch.
Yeah.
It would not be the first time they have worked together to put certain games of their catalog on Switch when developers wanted them on Switch, right?
Right.
It would not be the first time they've done that. So it's certainly not out of the realm of possibility. I'm excited by the idea of, oh shit, are we putting Game Pass on Switch? Is that dream like not just a pipe dream? Like, could that actually happen? Because that's buck fucking wild if it's true. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah, and like, I don't know. I'm thinking about this more, and I don't know anything about how to make a video game. I just play them and like them. I don't know anything about how to run a multi-billion-dollar corporation. But this seems like it could be perfect for Nintendo to say, look, man, we want these big games, right? But we really don't want to deal with trying to port them to the Switch or get somebody to do that or deal with the backlash of, oh, it doesn't run well on the Switch. So you guys just be responsible for all of your Microsoft games and your cloud services, and we'll just make it so that our console can connect to it. And they just kind of go, okay, this is a Microsoft problem. And that also makes it to where if you start complaining to Nintendo, they go, oh, hey, no, you complain to Microsoft. They take care of that.
Yeah.
This is their problem.
Yeah.
And just kind of not a big downside for Nintendo in this, in my opinion.
Oh, not at all. Yeah, I mean, for Nintendo, notoriously closed off, unwilling to work with anyone, unwilling to talk to anybody, Nintendo.
Yeah.
Like, closed off, doing their own thing, Nintendo, who have been this way since the 80s.
Yeah.
For them to willingly say with one of their primary competitors, like, yeah, we'll put your service on our machine. That's fucking preposterous. Like, as a longtime Nintendo fan, I would never, ever in a million years have imagined that being a real thing. And if this deal is as all-encompassing as Brad Smith makes it out to be in that tweet, granted, maybe Brad Smith overstepped. Maybe this is just about Call of Duty. I don't know. We'll find out, right? It'll come out in the legalese at some point. Somebody smarter than me will read it and figure all this shit out, right?
Oh, yeah.
But if Xbox stuff is coming to Nintendo, like, that's crazy. That is earth-shattering news just sort of hidden in a tweet.
Yeah.
That's nuts.
That's how it reads to me, too, right? Like,
yeah.
They specifically say Xbox games and Activision titles like Call of Duty. Like,
right.
And I could see this being a lot of they're just saying we're willing to do it. That doesn't mean that Nintendo is saying we want all of these things.
Right.
It could easily be them just saying, look, man, if you want them, we're willing to make it happen. And, hey, regulators, we're doing this with or without Activision Blizzard stuff. So why would you be led to believe we're not going to do it with Call of Duty and other Activision Blizzard games?
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think part of this, I mean, it's 100%. A lot of this is posturing to regulators, right? There's a reason they put this out like right before they went into their big meeting with the EU today.
Oh, yeah.
But like, it is 100% posturing. I do want to also throw out the possibility of this guy doesn't work at the Xbox division of Microsoft. He's part of big Microsoft, right? Like
right.
He's with the main company. It's possible he just wrote a tweet and didn't know what the fuck he was talking about. That's possible. It's, but it's Microsoft. It's a big company. That's unlikely.
Yeah.
But it is possible. So I don't want to just like do not come out of this podcast going, all right, Game Pass is on the Switch, right? Like
Exactly.
none of this is set in stone. But I do think it is extremely curious news. I think it's very interesting, and I think it's very positive for everybody. If I can play all the stuff that I already own or already pay for on as many devices as I humanly can, that's good for everybody.
Yeah, exactly. And like I'm just thinking about if I can only play my Game Pass games through cloud, but I can do it on my Switch, the device that is made to play video games on, and I can sit back on the couch and play like the goofy little indie titles that are on Game Pass on my Switch instead of on my phone or a tablet.
Yeah.
Why the hell wouldn't I want that? Like that's exactly what I want.
Exactly. It is the perfect vehicle to like try Game Pass games on a device that is actually designed for gaming rather than trying to turn this thing into a gaming device. Right.
Yeah, exactly. Because like we both have the Kishi and it's fine. But is it as good as playing on my Switch? No, absolutely not. It is 100% not.
It is a thing that does the job that I need it to do, but it is not a product that I'm like so excited about that I tell everybody to go get it.
Exactly.
Right?
And like thinking about it on your Switch, if you travel, you don't have to carry the stupid Kishi with you now. You can just take your Switch, which you were probably already taking anyway. Like that's just so much better.
Yeah, it's so much better. I hope this happens. Am I like 1000% convinced that it is happening? We'll see, right?
I think I am more in the thought process of Microsoft is saying they will do it if Nintendo wants them to. Which is all you can ask for from their side, right? Like, they can't hold Nintendo at gunpoint and say, we will put our games on the Switch whether you like it or not. They're just going, look, man, y'all are complaining that we have too many games or whatever dumb thing you're complaining about right now. We're going to give it to whoever wants it. They can have it. Yeah. Like, and dropping it right before you walk into that meeting, it seems like probably a pretty good tactic so that the other side can't have a way to immediately defend that, right?
Yeah,
they're smart lawyers. They're going to figure it out on the spot, but they didn't have time to plan.
Right. Yeah. So, really curious to see where this goes. Obviously, the Activision Blizzard saga continues. We don't cover that as extensively as other Xbox podcasts because, quite frankly, at the end of the day, I think we're mostly interested in as a show in the value that you get out of Game Pass and the value you spend of your time on Game Pass. And quite frankly, the business machinations of Microsoft don't really make a damn difference to that. It's like, are the games good? And
are they coming or not?
Are they coming or not? And where can you play them, right?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
That's the only part we as a show care about, right?
Yeah.
So if you want to follow the business machinations of this, I don't know, fucking read Business Insider or CNBC or some shit. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. Probably Windows Central is a solid spot.
Windows, great spot
over there. Always a good spot to get your news from for stuff like this.
Worth noting that, he is, and I love Jez, but, he's taking Microsoft's side on this 100% because he covers Microsoft shit. Mix in some other sources is what I'm saying, right? Don't just take Jez's word as gospel like you do for Xbox news, because I 100%, I will bow at the altar of Jez Corden on Xbox news, right? Like if he says it's happening, it's happening. If he tells me that I'm dead in a game I'm playing on my Xbox, I died. I'm sorry.
He's right. I don't know how he knew it, but damn.
I don't know how he knew it, but he's right.
Some good
but when it comes to the good journalism, but when it comes to the larger business world, take any games journalist with a grain of salt, I think. Mm-hmm. When it comes to the world outside of the gaming sphere, right? Because that's not what they're paid to do.
Right.
They're paid to tell us what's going on in video games. So, and there's a lot of good stuff going on in video games. There's a lot of great stuff going on Xbox. So, I'm really curious to see how that will all shake out. I think the Activision Blizzard deal is supposed to close in the States like the middle of this year, but I would not be surprised to see that pushed back. We'll see. We'll see what happens. But even without Activision, there's just like an absurd amount of cool stuff going on Game Pass over here in the next couple of months. So I'm excited either way.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's just a lot of good games coming. There's a lot of things that, are in the works that we already know about, and I'm sure there's going to be more surprises that get dropped on us like Hi-Fi Rush did.
Right.
Will they be as good as Hi-Fi Rush? I can't guarantee that.
Right.
But
we'll see.
They'll probably be more like, oh, hey, by the way, look at this cool new thing that you didn't know a thing about until right now.
Right. Exactly.
And
I've just been...
more importantly, we have Redfall coming out soon, so...
Yeah, it doesn't matter for you, right? Like, literally all they could do to make me more enthusiastic about Xbox in 2023, literally all they could do is tell me what's going on with Everwild. That is, like, the only thing they could do that would make me go even more, yeah, Xbox is in a good place this year.
Yeah.
Like, I'm excited about where 2023 is headed, and I'm excited to go on that journey with you, Spencer, and all you fine people in the chat. All you fine people listening to this the next day on the podcast feed. Really do appreciate, everyone checking out the news show. This has been a new format for us, and I think it's going pretty well. So really appreciate you guys taking the time to step on in. Like I said, you can listen to this on podcast feeds the next day. You can also listen to it live at 10 a.m. Eastern time on Tuesdays, the first and third Tuesday of the month, right here on twitch.tv/SparcPass. If you're on any social media, any of them, except for the ones we're not on, at SparcPass, look up at SparcPass. If we're there, we're there. Cool. Check out the show on YouTube. Check out, our Twitch Sunday streams, which will be coming back soon. February has just been a wildly busy month for the both of us. So those will be back real soon, probably the next week or two. We'll be back on the horse on those. So thank you guys so much for coming in. Spencer, thank you as always for running the technical side of things. I really do appreciate it.
No problem. Happy to do it. And you know what, too? Something else we should plug, since we haven't. Come hang out in Discord and tell us about your games that you're playing. And I feel like that's a better place we can kind of talk about like the Activision Blizzard news as it comes out. Because, like Mark said, we're just not covering a lot of that stuff because there's only so much we can do with it. And also there's only so many times we can go, great, nothing new happened. Like, they're still bitching and moaning back and forth about it. Maybe they'll come to an agreement someday on something of yes or no. For all we know, this is going to go on for the rest of time. Like, these companies are big enough. They have the money to pay for this to be an argument till we're all dead.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. So, I would love to hear what you guys are playing on Game Pass. We can talk about it. Hell, if you want to write up a long thing, I'll read it on the show. I don't care. Let's talk about what y'all are playing on Game Pass, what you guys are enjoying on the service. I think that, and Discord's the best place to do that. You can also email us, sparkpass@gmail.com, but Discord is probably the best place.
Yeah, that's probably one we'll see more often.
Yeah, probably so. Buddy, that's going to do it for the news. Thank you guys so much for coming in. We'll be back in a couple weeks. We don't have a show next week, so week after. We'll be back first Tuesday of March to talk about all the stuff that's coming to Game Pass, as well as our Atomic Heart episode coming out in March as well. So look forward to that. We'll see you guys next time. Take care, everybody.